She's not always at home. So, been married 6 years, dated for 2 priors. I'm 34. My wife is 36, she travels for work. And the times vary from month to month based on her contracts. She started traveling about 4 years ago, and it's always been 5 to 7 day stints. Maybe once a month. The last year or so the lengths have grown. And after a massively long stint a few months ago, 10 weeks. She came back feeling changed, not about us, she said, just overall. She was super affectionate though the first couple days. But since then she has withdrawn and spent lots of time alone listening to music, staying up late, etc. Only being home for a few weeks before leaving again. I did everything I could to remain calm, give her space, yet still try to initiate and show her physical affection in many different ways. Each time I've been shot down, given the response I'm just not feeling it right now, or something along those lines. She also said she wished I'd been more aggressive the second she got home, after not seeing her for so long. Also have heard it's never really been our thing. Ouch, I know we've had times where things slow down over the years, but we've always picked right back up and had good times in that department. The night before leaving for another 2 weeks I tried to initiate, mainly to prove my interest. Want to give space. But she needs to know my desire too, right? And she kind of chuckled and said no, sorry, I'm just not that attracted to you right now. Double ouch, I asked if she could explain. She said not really. Just not feeling it at the moment, and can't force feeling attracted to someone. I get that. I respect her. I didn't argue, just said that will change, and that I wasn't worried. Since I've known her, I've always been somewhat overweight, maybe 20 to 30 pounds. She's always been thin. We always diet together and work out, but it's usually short-lived on both ends. We like to go out to eat, party a bit. It's always been part of our social life. Recent years she's put on maybe 10 pounds and then last year we both packed on another 20 or so. Going overboard too much, food and drink, midnight pizzas, etc. We both knew it had to change and talked about it a lot. When she came back from her long trip a few months ago, I had gained more weight and she had lost some. I was feeling depressed, and I suppose a little intimidated. Could she sense this lack of confidence? A real desire killer on both ends? I figured so. That day I went to the gym and signed up for 12 weeks of personal training and started that day. In the last 6 weeks I've lost 45 pounds and am feeling great. Prob 20 to go. We still have not been intimate. But she says she's amazed at what I've done. Intimacy is better on a general basis. Giving back rubs and kisses lately without her seeming distant, but I feel the longer we go without real intimacy the harder it will be to rekindle. Feel like we're on the brink of losing our connection for good. Unfortunately, I am suspecting some kind of, at least, emotional affair on her end, as the day she came back she was different toward me, also. She's been super sensitive about getting in great shape. Body waxing, tanning, etc., and yet she won't touch me. Yeah. I know, sounds bad, looks bad. She says she's doing it for me, for when this gets better. And that she's trying really hard and would never cheat. So don't worry, all will be fine. Really want to believe her as I always have, but for the first time I'm scared my wife is considering an affair. As I've never felt this level of detachment from her. And it's only been the last 6 weeks out of 8 years. Trust me. Trying to project calm and not let on any over-insecurity I may feel, while still trying to express my feelings to her, is not easy. She doesn't like to talk things to death, so it's kind of an actions are more important than words situation right now. We're getting along and generally affectionate, but the easy familiarity we had for 8 years came to a sudden stop, with her traveling so much. How can I constructively work on building intimacy again? Any insight would be greatly appreciated. She's always been mine, and I knew it wholeheartedly. Now I'm on shaky ground and don't want to make anything worse. Only want to improve from where we are. Because it feels like time is of the essence. He does party on the road, as do I sometimes, and yes, she works with other men. I know most of them, but certainly not all. Never been concerned because we always had such a close connection at home. It was obvious she was loyal. But yeah, I realize that as a husband it's a pretty bad situation to be comfortable with her going into on a regular basis. Would love to go back a couple years and address that, though I do travel out to visit her regularly, just not able to be with her every day she's gone. So clearly, she knows I suspect something, from our conversation about all the body improvement yet no bonding for me. Since she felt the need to say she wouldn't cheat. I was calm and firm that anything like that would be unacceptable. But of course she's on the road again now and I can't get a clear picture of what's going on. So how to find out for sure? Hesitate to call any of her coworkers because I don't know them that well, don't know what the story is, and they may know more than they let on and lie. Then of course she would get the scoop that I'm checking up. Not sure if that's good or bad. I'd rather just know, instead of her knowing that I know. Then I'd have some hand in the situation. Or maybe I should book a ticket tomorrow. Don't want to be that guy but wouldn't want to drop an ultimatum and be wrong, even though it sure seems the odds aren't in my favor on that one. Totally plan to ravage her and I'm on that boat for when she gets back. Her lack of respect needs to be addressed. And her needs do too. Though if I find proof, she's having an affair. Not sure I'd want to give her the pleasure of me even being here when she gets back. I have seen suspicious email and phone activity lately. I don't monitor her email, but I have seen a few sitting open on her computer recently that have given me an idea of who it may be. Checking phone bill shows many texts to that same person. Though she texts tons of people, I think she may be addicted to her phone. I can't get into her phone as she lately keeps it closely guarded and locked with a passcode. For work, yeah, of course, didn't notice that aspect of her behavior until I had reason to be suspicious. Wow, I'm screwed here, should have seen these 10 miles out, but like I said, the affection was always there so I felt no need to distrust her. Like to think I'm a pretty smart guy, but clearly made some stupid moves in terms of enforcing boundaries with my wife in the last few years. She needed to know I could walk at any time, and that I wouldn't just be happy taking care of the house and making sure the bills are paid on time, but whatever all of that means, if she's doing this to me, she is ultimately the one at fault and I have to just get over it and get out before she sticks me again. If she is having a physical affair, I'm out, she knows that, and I will stick to it, probably why she didn't just tell me she was cheating the other day before she left. Her ability to travel for work so freely would be limited, as no one would be taking care of her life back home. Of course, I don't want to leave, because I am still in shock that my sweet girl has turned into a totally different person who seems to be completely indifferent to how I feel and is probably losing respect for me every day I don't call her on it. Which is why proof is important. Suggestive emails. I do dig you and care about you. Okay. Hope you're emailing me because you enjoy my company. Not just cause you're bored, etc., are proof of an emotional affair. But when confronted she will deny. Something like he had a bad day, was just saying something nice, just friends, and I have no hard comeback to that. Especially to prove it is truly physical. So maybe a pie in whatever city she's in is the way to go. Seems creepy, but at least it would be an anonymous third party. I would know I can make my decision to walk without any guilt of not doing all I could. If she has really done this, I will not pretend it can be made better. If she is teetering and has not consummated anything, I still will probably have to walk. At least for a while. As I feel I can't trust anything she says now. She would have to prove over a long period of time that she deserved my trust again, and that would include her coming off the road and working at home again. As cold as she is lately. She will probably cut me off in the middle of my ultimatum and say she wants a divorce, so I'd like to preempt her if I can and at least bring consequences for her actions without me playing the victim. She also has a female work friend she used to work with about a year ago with that she texts all the time. Back then she told me that this friend of hers was in an emotional affair and was considering cheating on her husband. Perhaps they text and talk so much because she sees her as a safe sounding board for her own desires. Schemes to cheat. I don't know that friend personally though, so I'm guessing she would stonewall me and stick to my wife's story if I were to contact her. Wish I could count on someone being honest with me, besides me. And all of you, thanks. This is all very new to me. To not trust a word my wife says leaves me feeling pretty isolated. She is out of town right now, just called her hotel and asked for the room of the guy I suspect she is cheating with. No one by that name, tried the hotel next door. They said, "One moment please. I'll put you through." I hung up when they transferred me, so he is there in town with her for no valid reason. He's not working with her. He's just visiting my now soon-to-be ex-wife. Also, on a hunch called the airline to request an upgrade for her flight home. Her flight leaves 2 days earlier than she told me and it is not coming home. She is heading off for a weekend without me, clearly with him. Help me guys, how can I nail her the hardest on this without coming off as a lowbrow victim? Should I even confront her, or just not be here when she gets back? She'd probably deny it if I confronted her, even in the face of this evidence of infidelity and complete lack of respect. The house is in her name, and it's underwater. Can I just walk and leave her to deal with it? We live in a no-fault state, so what do I need to consider in terms of divorce plans? Does infidelity even matter in a no-fault situation? I don't want to give her a dime. I'm guessing she's spent a couple grand putting this together already. Clothes, lingerie, hair extensions, waxing, etc. Want to be calm about this. But also feel so much rage that I want her to feel serious pain as a result of this. She used to always tell me how smart I am. Clearly, she lost sight of that and either is being very sloppy because she's in fantasy land now, or just plain doesn't give a crap. Most likely both. If I flew to her getaway next weekend, she would probably laugh in my face at this point, as she obviously doesn't care one bit about me or how this makes me feel. Wouldn't want to be victimized again. Really want to punch him in the neck though, not to get her back. Clearly, she's already gone, and with a paw I won't stand for hanging around, though is the information I mentioned considered evidence of the affair? Or is it circumstantial? Do I need a pie to get pics of them walking hand in hand, kissing or entering hotel room together? Or what? I know he's married. Pretty tempting to call his house and ask his wife if I can speak to him. Maybe find out where he's gone to on business. Wonder what he told her. Really hard to not start meddling and EFF up his life too, but once again, want to calm down before doing anything. Really hurting here, can't eat, can't sleep, don't want to work, keep finding more things she lied directly to me about. Have now talked to my closest friend about what's happening. He recently went through this with a longtime girlfriend, and have an appointment with a therapist tomorrow morning to get myself straightened out. Don't want a long drawn-out ugly divorce, just want her to feel some serious pain too. Maybe it's just in the effect of how I let her know I'm leaving. And when it is proven, or she admits, that she had a physical affair, then yes, I will have to leave. Tried sticking around once with an old ex-girlfriend after a physical she had and it ended up messing up my self-esteem for too long. Felt weak to take something like that. Yes, this is my marriage, but can't imagine ever feeling right after this. And can't imagine she'd even try to reconcile, considering how cold she's been to me lately. But I guess I'll have to find out. Whether or not I have to file for divorce right away is a different story. I guess. We have no kids, and we have some retirement accounts, but nothing massive. The accounts are in our own names, so it should just be a matter of splitting up the crap and me moving the hell out. I know, the last couple days I've gone from calm and hopeful to insane, then calm, then just hurt. Then insane again. My good friend that I talk to do a lot of good in getting me to stop thinking about just jumping to conclusions or making rash decisions. Getting revenge, etc. That will only make things crazier. And make me seem crazier, if I'm somehow wrong, which at this point I can only be wrong about the level of the affair. She is certainly attached to him. I wouldn't want her to have the satisfaction of thinking she did the right thing because I clearly turned out to be crazy anyway. Does that make sense? I'm not, but whatever, this is also out of the blue. I suppose I could grab a pair or two of panties when she gets back and have them analyzed. Makes me sick to think about though. Either way I feel I have to know for sure, and I really don't believe she would tell me the truth if confronted. So I need some means of truth getting. So, you think I should play it cool when she gets back, meanwhile discussing options with a lawyer. And then decide how to drop the bomb on her when the time is right. I'd like to have some kind of simple papers at least in the house before she gets back though. Because if she comes back and tries to hit me with it first, I will lose the one small piece of hand I have. Emotionally. Not realistically, if I could walk into my office and come back with something that says gotcha first. That would at least give me some more confidence in trying to be calm while she lies to my face. Does something like that exist? Yes, I sound weak when I say that, but I go from anger to weakness pretty quickly these last few days. It is shifting more to anger though. That said, she will probably not say a word about it, and it will sure be hard to pretend I can stand to be in the same room with her. All the while she's thinking she pulled one over on her hubby. I probably will be extra busy with work all of a sudden, lots of office time. Unfortunately I work at home, but I think I can handle that for a while. At least doing some of the 180 tactics should keep me from revealing any desperation or hurt as it creeps up. As well as feel better about my position, but I so want to drop the bomb. This was clearly planned. She has not covered her tracks well either. So she either wants me to see it and make it easy for her by blowing up at her and giving her an excuse to justify her actions. Or she's so caught up like a schoolgirl that she has no idea what she's doing. I was emptying the garbage today and the one in her office turned out to be a goldmine of hurtful stuff. a card for my birthday, which was last week, and sucked, not filled out, in the trash, several little to-do lists for this last week or two she was home, with stuff like Victoria's Secret or Call Hotel. A rough listing of outfits to wear each day, dates of this trip written right there. What appears to be very high credit card balances listed out. She must have maxed out trying to spend all of our money on this excursion. Not like I'll be paying anything on her cards though, of course. Or my personal favorite fine 2-day trip, ouch. Oh, and her wedding ring on her desk. She had some kind of treatment done last week. Wonder how much that cost, for which she had to remove her ring, clearly. She got used to it really quick and wants me to see it sitting there. You guys still think I should pretend to be casual and play dumb when she comes back. Agreed on the other hotel reasoning being so her coworkers wouldn't know. They're all in her hotel. Can't believe I have to say this about her, but she has morphed into a real nasty person. She was married once before, very young, 19, divorced at 22. We met 6 years later. I had never been married, was 25 when we met. Funny thing is what she's doing to me is what her garbage ex did to her back then. It'd be one thing if she always was strange like this or exhibited signs of jealousy about me and other mystery women, but she was always so, well, sweet. To not give me a heads up that she was flagging, clearly a while ago, and blown up by the distance, shows that she has a completely shifted personality right now. Really sorry this is turning out to be such a hard luck story, all. I was just thinking I needed to spice up our bonding life. And the distance was making it harder to reconnect each time she came back, or something. I will say it feels good to be able to rant every detail here though. There it is, dirty things, from him, to her email, from just the other day. Is it odd that I actually am almost laughing at this point? This is actually numbing me out quite nicely. That this extra bit of info doesn't make me feel sad right now tells me that this is going to be a strange ride. Maybe 180 while I get things together in the coming weeks will be easier than I thought. Or maybe I'm just spent right now. I really don't want to know any more than I already do, but as obvious as it all is on paper, I still will have trouble severing ties without something concrete. Something that confirms that I can move on with complete justification in my mind. Honestly, having fun on a dance floor, a kiss in a restaurant, or holding hands in public would be enough for me to confront her with leaving. As everything else adds up to so much more. The rest is obvious. Audio of her talking about sleeping with him would work too. Though I really wouldn't want to hear it. Still considering Pi for this weekend, as it's their secret trip. Location is a place where there's lots of nightclubs. General nightlife. I know her flight info, but don't know what hotel she'll be at. And of course, hotels aren't supposed to give out guest info, even to spouses, regarding who will be staying there that night. I could wait until they're checked in and start calling hotels asking them to put me through to X until I found them. But that could be time-consuming, not a small town we're talking about here. Pi could pick her up at airport baggage claim, follow to hotel and then get pics of them while out at night. Then coming back to hotel together. I would need no more than that, unless there was nothing suggestive to report, or if Pi says they just shook hands and entered separate rooms for the night. Or whatever. And I don't think I'd confront her by showing her pics, etc. I think I'd just confront her that I know. And when she denies, tell her I have proof and she should stop covering. Don't plan to pack her stuff up. Bummer is I work from home and require lots of computer equipment that's all set up in my office, so I'm guessing I'll just take a little time in a hotel. Or friend's place, for starters. Hey, odds are she'll be leaving in a week for another month or something anyway. So I can come back and round up my situation then. At least that's where I'm at for now. Talking with a lawyer tomorrow to get some perspective. Don't necessarily want to hit her with papers the second she walks in, but I want to be prepared to if advised, or if for some reason she says it first. In that case, then I can grab them out of the desk casually and say, sure, here you go, hope you had a nice trip. If your spouse starts traveling all the time for work, which is totally normal for some jobs, even if it seems like all is fine when they're home. Before you end up where I am, make sure to set up some clear loving boundaries regarding coworkers and social situations. Communication standards. Travel home dates and if possible, large chunks of time off in between jobs. Also, don't do it right away, because it would be wrong and not demonstrative of love. But if software handy and ready to go. To bug their computer and cell phone the second anything gets weird. Before they are onto your suspicion, if I'd quashed this 8 weeks ago. I may have been able to save us. Now that the line has been crossed, I feel I have no choice. The ring I think she left to piss me off and make a point to tell me what I think is okay doesn't matter to her right now. But the other stuff was in the trash. And maybe she wouldn't imagine me reading stuff from the trash. Geez, listen to me, like I would imagine me reading anything from the trash. But where there's smoke there's fire. And everything seems to be a new clue. As odd as the last few weeks have been. Hard to imagine she'd leave anything behind and not think I'd be suspicious enough to check it out. I just don't know, she's not acting like my wife. She's acting like a stand-in. Walks and talks like, but acts and reacts like a complete stranger. This all seems so cut and dried right now, but I wonder if it's easier because she's out of town and I'm dealing with this without her around. When she's home next week, how will I react? If she was in the next room while I type this, I would be able to take my temperature in a real way. What if I lose my nerve to be so matter-of-fact? Face-to-face is so much different than having a discussion with myself and inserting what I think she'll reply with. Then again, when she's been here lately it feels like she's out of town anyway. Comment, you need to be aware that your wife will very probably try to gaslight you when you confront her. She will tell you that the affair was your fault, because you mistreated her. She may invent wild stories of abuse to tell your friends and family in order to discredit you, or she may try to explain away things differently than they actually happened. OP responds, interesting, have already experienced some of this during recent weeks. When asked about her lack of interest in bonding, she actually said, well, that's never really been our thing. Could have fooled me for the last 8 years, exact example of rewriting history and boiling it down to a falsehood designed to hurt me and try to justify her lack of interest. Will try to keep my memory intact no matter what she says. I'm going to try to listen to what she says and completely disregard that there may be truth in it, and not necessarily feel the need to call her on it. I'll try to just focus on her actions and remember who it is I'm dealing with right now. The stand-in. If she wants to be honest with me, at this point I think I'll notice the difference. Also, realizing I really need to really focus on my work, as this whole situation has turned into a 24-hour obsession since the discoveries of the last few days. Have to get serious work done, while trying to get my mind and affairs in order for the experience to come next week. Got to try to focus. Wish I knew how to meditate. Probably screwed on the house. We bought it together initially, and then a few years later when we refinanced. I had recently become a freelancer. And even though I had more income than she did, the bank required 2 years of income proof if you're a freelancer. So we went with her name only for the new loan, as she had a W-2 employer. So yeah, I am guessing the house mess is on both of us. In which case I should probably tell her to leave instead of leaving myself. I'll ask my lawyer tomorrow morning. Apologies if I left some things out during my insane rantings early on. I was still trying to see things all rosy if possible. I must have forgot to mention that in the days before she left, I had seen a few emails open on her computer and became suspicious. I had previously, in a kind of joking way at first, expressed concern about the amount of texts and calls she gets and receives, especially if they were mostly from one guy, so she knew before she left that I was suspicious. But I had tried till then to guard it by asking innocent questions, hoping for innocent answers. I knew I was worried about her leaving this time, due to all the flirting of her, yet me being off the radar, and wanted to let her know I loved her and where I stood. We talked the night before she left, and in that talk, I confronted her, calmly, with some concerns I had about everything recently. Something we had touched on a few times anyway as a result of feeling off for the past few weeks. The reason why I'm not fighting for her during this week, because it has already happened. He is with her right now on her current trip, for no valid reason. He is staying in the hotel next to the one her company is staying at. I found that out by simply calling the first 2 hotels near hers and asking for his room by name. On hotel number 2, they put me through. The night before she left when we talked, I brought up, again, about him calling and texting her so much, and that he clearly had other things in mind than being chatty, and that friends were fine, but if anything started to seem to her like he was trying to move beyond that, particularly a pa, that would be unacceptable, and she knew I wouldn't stand for anything like that. She agreed and swore there was nothing to worry about. Clearly, she knew I was suspicious now. The temp in the room was up, at least tension-wise, and let the lying commence. I asked if he would be out in X City this week. She said of course not, He doesn't even work for the company, he's in the same industry. They did work together about a year ago on a job. So why would he be there? Okay, I said. I changed the subject. I had noticed her work schedule earlier in the day, which was, and still is, sitting right on her desk, and it shows no one except her flying in until 2 days later. I casually asked a few probing questions as to what she was up to that night, her first night there. She threw out some work excuses. I said, they have you doing that by yourself. Now she has to know something's up. Sure, it's just some stuff I have to take care of before everyone else can get started. It's no big deal. Valid possibility. So I didn't push it past that. I said, hey, maybe I'll come with you. Nothing unusual about me saying this either, except for the tension in the air. I come with on lots of her trips. At least used to before she got cold on me and I started hearing there's not really a good time this next week. Really long days, you'll just be hanging out by yourself most of the time, etc. Anyway, she told me she'd rather not this time, cause we're not really having fun together right now. So she'd rather I stay home and she'll just concentrate on work. I finally sacked up and said, if you're ever thinking about doing something like that, just listen to me, don't do it. Okay? She said, of course, that she hadn't cheated, and she wouldn't be. So stop worrying about some work friend of hers, she has lots of work friends. I apologized for looking at her schedule, but it was right there on the desk, facing me, open. She knew it looked bad that she was potentially going out early. That I noticed it, and that she essentially denied me the right to come with. I tried to believe her. Because she told me several times it's all good. Not that I asked several times, when I found out about the following weekend's trip, and that the D-bag was out there during this first week too. And that it was now impossible to give her another chance before she did this. It became all about getting proof next weekend. So, she knew I was suspicious. I did give her an explicit warning of my concern, and she lied. Also, I think I mentioned this early on, when asked about a bunch of new lingerie she had just bought before leaving. She told me it was for me, for when we get better. And of course it wouldn't be going with her. It went with her, perhaps that was a last-minute decision to piss me off for prying the night before. But she took it with her nonetheless and left her wedding ring on her desk. It is too late, and when directly confronted with some of my concerns before she left, she lied to my face. I suppose I could have insisted that I come with on the trip. But I think it would have been a bad move, and make me seem needy, insecure and insane with jealousy. If I confront her about next weekend before she goes, she'll only lie again, say it just came up and it was just for fun, and it's just with some friends. Then she would change her flight time, and maybe even what city she was going to, and I wouldn't be able to get the proof I need to sleep at night after I hit the button when she gets back. Believe me, I would have fought for this woman till the ends of the earth. I gave her a chance to back down and say she was considering it because she was confused and we've had an off month or two. But she knows it's wrong and she won't do it, or something like that, but no. She lied, and then lied about lying, and she knew that I probably knew and lied again. So, me riding in on a white horse on Friday to save her from this terrible weekend mistake she's about to make would be too late and would only add to her disrespect for me. And a little more humiliation to heap on me. Done being humiliated, now I'm going to have to show her some backbone and do what I essentially promised her I would do if this ever happened. My comment. Part 2. If she's always not at home, coming soon, working on it as we speak. See you guys there soon. Click the bell button, and it will notify you when it's uploaded.